I'm Jonathan Agnew, and this is our review of the fourth day of the final test match between England and South Africa at the Oval. And England in a very, very strong position to win the match tomorrow, and with it, of course, to win the series and complete this remarkable run of 6 wins this summer out of 7, having won only 1 out of 17 before that. So a real transformation. They've got to get there. They need 33 more to win. But even so, they've been given a very good start to chase that smallish target of 130 by Lees, who's 32, and Crawley, who played some handsome shots on 57. That's only part of the story. Lees was dropped first ball by Janssen at slip off Rabada, and who knows what possibly might have happened had that catch been taken. But it wasn't, and they've certainly broken the back of what they had to do. Another extraordinary day of tumbling wickets. A day in which the ball swung quite prodigiously. We'll talk about that as we go. But it all began, of course, with England looking to try and build a lead of around about 100 or so. We heard Early Robinson in the morning giving his thoughts on the day and how he's going to stay out there with Ben Foakes and try and get that lead up to 100. Well, the first ball that Robinson faced, he drilled to mid-off, and he was out first ball of the day for 3. Leach got a duck, Foakes 14, and so England lost their last 3 wickets for 4 runs in 17 balls this morning. To be bowled out for 158, a lead of 40. Janssen finishing with 5 for 35. In goes South Africa, 40 behind, and the openers managed to eradicate that before they were parted. Avea falling to Stokes, nicely caught by Root at first slip for 26. A very strange dismissal of Elgar, the captain, who'd battled away. He's not been in good form. He really fought hard. Well, he was hit on the pad by Broad. There's a loud appeal for leg before wicket, and he simply walked off. He assumed he was absolutely plumb, but in fact, the replay has shown, well, it would have hit maybe a fourth stump down the leg side. It would have missed leg stump. Had he reviewed it, he would not have been out. But he walked off himself, out for 36. Peterson 23, Rickleton 8. 2 lovely balls from Robinson. In-swingers accounted for Muller and Zondo for 14 and 16. Ferragna was caught and bowled by Anderson for 12 towards the end. Janssen, again, falling to his amazing in-swinger, this time from Stokes, a big swinger on the stroke of tea. Rabada a duck, and Maharaj 18. So bowling-wise in that innings, Anderson 2 for 37, Robertson 2 for 40, Broad 3 for 45, and Stokes 3 for 39. So the ball really swinging around all over the place. And so set, 130 to win. England have reached 97 for no wicket. They need 33 to win tomorrow when we reconvene in what should hopefully be good weather. I can't believe I'm flicking through all these pages of my book and have done now for 2 days. I've got Victor and Vernon Philander alongside me. I mean, this match, Victor, it's been crazy, hasn't it? You've got to go back to 1907 to the last time that 3 innings in a test match in England were completed in a shorter time than this.
Well, it was a crazy day because England had an they're going to win the game, but they had an appalling first session. They were dreadful in the first session. They lost wickets immediately. It was 70 for 1 at lunch, suddenly 40 for 1 in effect, as far as South Africans are concerned. But then it all turned again in the afternoon. And the surprising key, it suddenly started swinging. And Anderson and Broad got the flavour, got a couple of wickets, then imposed pressure. From that moment on, England have dominated the day, but they were completely outplayed in the morning, and yet now they find themselves on the brink of their 6th win of the summer. Yeah. And it was, in fact, the old firm in the field of Anderson and Broad who took control of the game, stopped the runs coming, the ball was starting to swing. Suddenly the batsmen were just thinking of no more than survival, and the shackles were never really broken for South Africa after that.
What's your thoughts on that crazy day, Vernon?
Yeah, I think it's a positive start for South Africa in the morning. They wanted to come and knock over the tail, with not much damage. They picked up the 3 wickets for 4 runs this morning, so that in many ways was the perfect start to the day. And I certainly felt that momentum were then on their side. They managed to get a 58-run partnership for the first wicket to almost settle the nerves within the batting lineup. They have been under immense pressure. But yeah, I think like Victor said, after lunch the ball started swinging, and also clever and smart captaincy by Ben Stokes. He's reverted to his senior statesman to really strung a couple of good overs together, and again, it's a key part of Test match cricket. When you bowl good overs, and batsmen almost feel suffocated. You know that when you do pick up a wicket, they come bang bang. You often lose 2 wickets with not many runs, obviously added to that scoreboard. And I think, again, just good old-fashioned Test match cricket. But I think the way the England seamers has utilised that swinging ball, fantastic once again. And they've just exposed the amount of pressure which, this volatile batting, South African batting lineup has been under, and they've exposed it. Obviously South Africa had made a couple of changes going into this fixture, and they've just been exposed once again.
I mean, England really shouldn't have let South Africa back into the game, should they? I mean, if you were playing what we now I think could call old-fashioned Test cricket, they'd have looked to have batted at a reasonable rate, but carefully, steadily, declared at some time round about tea time today, I suppose, with a great big lead. Put South Africa in again for the session after tea today and look to bowl them out tomorrow. And if there was a few runs to knock off, they'd have done it. But it's just been such a frenetic performance. I mean, if you look back at the score, I mean, South Africa in the second innings at one stage were 83 for 1, and they're right back in the game again.
Yeah, I mean, they actually forfeited their strong position not on Saturday night, didn't they? With the loss of big batsmen. There is a long tail. England have got a long tail, and that might be a problem for them in the future. And then this morning, it was the tail, but they were totally ineffective. Yeah. And we all felt, at some point, we all love this attacking, aggressive style of cricket. But at some point, you want to make sure you win the game. And when you get ahead of the game, really sort of bury the opposition. Yeah. So suddenly, at lunchtime today, I don't do the odds for bookies, but I would have thought South Africa might well have been just favourites to win the match. They had a lead. They had 2 batsmen in, and England were not looking very threatening with the new ball by the standards of this match. But as I say, it all started to turn mysteriously almost. Because remember, after about 25 overs, as has been often the case, Joe Root, Stuart Broad, they're all on the umpire's ear. Yeah. I want to change this ball. We got the old ring coming out, and they're desperately trying to change the ball. By about over number 35, there was no suggestion you want to change this ball because... And you're the expert, or you two are the experts on this.
I'll defer to Vernon.
Okay, but it was swinging suddenly, yes. and life was difficult as a batsman.
It is bizarre because the ball has not swung all summer. And here we had bright blue skies. There was not a sort of overcast, dank feel about it. A ball that they had tried to get rid of a couple of times. It wasn't though it swung from new either, was it? This is swinging from 25, 30 overs in, but not reverse. This is swinging its traditional swing. What was happening?
Yeah, I was certainly amazed as well. I think as batsmen also, you're trying to see off that new ball. You're trying to see off, and very often, you come to the UK and that ball from about over 15, 16 up until 30, that's really the danger period when it, will swing to its max potential. But I think this particular ball, we have seen, the England team really working on that ball. Joe Root, is extensively working on that ball. But, I think it was about over number 25 when it started swinging just after lunchtime, when they came back. Phenomenal effort. To get that ball swinging and for that period of time, because very often what you will find as well, when you do get the ball to swing after about 10 overs, it will, it will start, losing its way. Yeah, obviously the swing. But, for the amount of overs that it has been swinging, even the ball that Stokes bowled Marco Jansen.
That was an extraordinary ball, wasn't it?
That was probably 20 overs later. So to get that ball swinging for that period of time was just phenomenal. And once again, it just shows you that, when you have, as bowlers, when you have a little bit of swing to work with, it becomes so difficult, for batsmen. I think there was a period of play where South Africa, I think it was Kaya Zondo and
Muller.
Yeah. And they just couldn't get runs. As batsmen, you want to bet time, but also you want to score runs. And they were just not afforded any scoring opportunity. So they were suffocated again. But I think, one, from a skill point of view, at the end of the day, yes, I can give you and I can hand you a swinging ball. But at the end of the day, you still need to go and execute. And I think execution from an England point of view, the entire Test match, they've been brilliant with the ball. They've made life really, really difficult for the South African, a struggling South African batting lineup, one have to say. But to have those sort of senior statesmen at your disposal as well, plays a massive part.
The other thing you noticed was that Broad and Anderson, once they got their rhythm, they were at most giving away 1 and over on average of maidens after maidens. But they still have 4 slips.
Yes.
There was still big gaps in the field, but they were so skillful. Anderson in particular was getting, he was trying to get it up there, but they weren't half volleys. They were just the right length, beating the outside edge time and time again, throwing in the odd in-swinger. Well disguised. It takes a lot of skill to be able to do that. We take it for granted. It's swinging. It's not just a breeze, as Vernon was saying. You've got to have so much skill to be able to exploit those conditions, and those two did it terrifically well. And indeed, so did Stokes when he came on. He swung the ball a long way.
Vernon, can you see Anderson and Broad, 41 and 36, I think they'll be then, playing against Australia next summer? or what you've seen so this summer here in this series?
Look, I'm a firm believer. If the guy can perform, you pick him. I think I actually had a chat to Brendan McCullum in the middle this morning about this topic. I said, obviously, what's your plans for the next sort of 12 to 18 months? And he said, well, as long as they're taking wickets, I've got to pick them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, to have those sort of guys, within a squad, I mean, although you might not play both of them at one go, and we're talking 12 months from now, well, perhaps a little bit more, but you have to obviously, see how they go over the next summer. So you guys will have another summer before that. Before that.
They might have got a quiet winter.
So I think you'll have to play it by ear, and especially when you start, touching 40s and beyond,
yes.
And late 30s as well. So I think they've had a phenomenal summer, and you want that sort of experience, within your group. And I think what they bring, not just from a performance point of view, but also within that camp, you can see they're so mature. They know what they want to do with the ball. Yes, we've criticized them, perhaps on tactic use in the Lord's Test match, a little bit in the Manchester Test match. But what they've done here, that is Broad and Anderson. Get the ball up, get the ball swinging, ask the right questions, and they're always going to be in the game. I mean, it's a phenomenal Test match series for both of them. Tactics, we can probably argue that from time to time, but hey, you can't buy that experience. I guarantee you that.
And they suddenly feel, both of those, about 10 years younger when they see that ball move.
Yes.
Suddenly there's a spring. There's a spring in their step.
Let's talk about Zach Crawley, can we? Because he has been in the spotlight again all summer. Through I think that was his first half century, I'm right in saying, since the century he scored in Antigua, and that was something like 17 innings ago, and it's a long time ago, if those numbers are right or not. But actually, he's played some pretty decent shots.
Well, he tantalises you because when he plays well, he hits good balls for 4.
Yeah.
My one theory about him, and about a lot of players, is when they are taken out of their own bubble that is fretting about their technique, because there's a game to be won. There's a very manageable target, but that is the target. So in your mind, he was going to come out and play positively, Jack Crawley, and he's not fretting about whether his foot's moving or what they're saying on the telly suddenly. He's worried about, or he's thinking about, we got to dominate, get that 130, no frills or no hanging around. I'm going to go for it. I've got that freedom. That's what I'm going to do. It kind of takes him out of himself, and he's not worried about his technique or what the replays are saying, and somehow he's got to do that more often. I think the only way at the moment that he's going to succeed is by being a free-flowing stroke player at the top of the order. He hasn't really got the mindset or maybe even the technique to be a traditional old-style opener. But he played so well that he's got to play the next Test match.
I'll let you go, Victor, because we're going to get Andy Zaltzman in, just because there's so many stats to chew over in this match. Let him do that. While he's coming in, Vernon, what do you think of Zach Crawley? I mean, I don't suppose you've seen that much of him. You'll have obviously become part of the debate that we've been having in this last series about him and his position and the way that he plays. What are your thoughts? Because you can see why we're drawn to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he has all the attributes to really, take the game away from the opposition, and I think that's also a strength of his. And as much as it is a strength of his, it can also become a weakness of his. And I put him in a similar bracket to a Aiden Markram. They want to impose themselves on the bowlers, and very often, you take on a ball which is not quite there, and it has been tough in being a top order batsman in the UK, let alone opening the batting. So for him, he'll take a lot of confidence from this. But I think in the way that he's come out today, it's almost he's put all the technical questions out his mind. He's had quite a good innings up in Manchester, where he's been really patient, being really watchful. But I think, when you bat the way he's done today, and that's the way you want him to bat, you almost want to say to him, you know what, go there, clear your mind, and play each ball on merit. And I tell you what, he turns good balls, which he can, obviously, score boundaries of, and that makes him so dangerous. As a bowler, you'll feel that you can get him up, but the day that he gets on top of you is the day that he'll really dominate you. And I mean, it's fascinating to watch how he's gone today. I mean, I don't think he's given a chance today. No. And yeah, I mean, a lot of credit. Sometimes you have to go through that, criticism as a player, but for me, he came out and he showed, I can play this game, and big ups to him.
Vera, thank you. Just hang on a sec there. Actually, you're done. You can go and have a shower, Vernon. Thank you. And we'll just finish off the last minute or so with Andy. I mentioned the fact, Andy, that you go back to 1907 to find a Test match played here in which the 3 innings were shorter than what we've had. So put some meat onto those bones and anything else that you've got.
Well, yeah, that was 129 overs for the first 3 innings. Combined, and highlights the problem South Africa's batting has had. They look weak on paper coming into the series. Only Elgar ranked inside the top 40, and in this team only Elgar had scored more than 1 Test century in his career. And in the series they've had just 1 half century in 3 Tests. Now in the entire history of Test cricket, there's only been 8 teams that have got to the end of a 3rd Test of a series with only 150 in their side, and most of those were a long time ago, in days when pitches were considerably worse. About 5 of those instances were before the First World War. So they have really struggled. Their collective batting average of 17.6, the second worst by a touring team in England since 1978. Only the 2010 Pakistan tourists have had a worse collective average in a Test series in England in that time. And England, assuming they don't have a go slow in the morning, are set to become only the 5th team to win a Test match having batted for less than 60 overs. So yeah, it's not been a vintage game for batting, albeit the bowling has been superb. And looking at Broad and Anderson, having been left out of the squad in the West Indies, have been England's 2 leading wicket takers this summer. Broad 29 wickets at 27, Anderson 27 at 17.6 in his 6th Test this summer. Ollie Robinson reached 50 wickets in just 11 Tests, one of the fastest England players to that mark, and an average below 20. It's been one of the best starts to a Test career of any England bowler in the history of the Test game.
Lovely. Andy, thank you very much indeed.